All right, what's happening, everybody? It is April 24th. We are almost in May, and this is a big end of the month inventory push for me. So the weather's getting better here. There's lots more opportunities now to source. If we're talking about going out to garage sales and estate sales, it's all starting to happen now. But I'm going this morning to two thrift stores I don't normally go to, or at least I don't normally frequent, because my success rate is a little bit lower. The first one is going to be Volunteers of America, and then the second one of the ones I like the least, Ohio Thrift. We're going to hit those two stores first, and then depending on how we do, we might pop into some Goodwills or not. But it is time to grow the inventory and try to finish this month on a very strong note. So let's get moving.
Temperature looks like it's going to top out at around 81 degrees today with clear blue skies in Columbus, Ohio. The nicest day, I think, so far in April. March, sales-wise, was very good to me. April and I aren't getting along so much, but we'll get into that maybe in a future video. One of the things I noticed about this store and the next store that I go into, despite how well or how not well I do thrifting here, is these stores are very clean. They're very organized. It almost looks meticulous. So kudos to them, I guess, on that front. But you're going to see how we do in each store and then be able to kind of gauge whether it makes sense for you, especially if you're local, to visit these stores here in just a second. I was looking at this Cuisinart, and they had it, once I flipped it over, they had it marked around, I think, either $20 or $30. And I immediately turned me off because I have just walked in. But then I noticed this George Foreman Evolve Grill. You folks that have been following me for a little bit of time know I pick a few of these up every now and then. I would like to know in the comments if you recently sold a George Foreman grill, especially if you sold it on March 21st, because that is the day he passed away. I was checking the eBay solds, and it looked like Foreman grills were flying off the shelves that day. So if you'd been holding on to one for a long time because they're not that great of sellers, that was probably the day you moved it. They want $7 for this. I probably do have to clean it up a little bit. Looks like maybe a little bit greasy, a little bit oily. And one of the things that I've learned the hard way, these are delicate to ship. Even though they feel like they're sturdy, you have to be careful. Like the big bubble wrap, use more than you think you need. That one right there, I will probably spend no more than 5 minutes giving it a once over and list it for maybe around $35 or $40. So it's $7. That's a pretty good price. And I would have no problem selling it for $30, but I think I am going to list it at $35. The Evolves, for whatever reason, there's a silver color as well. They sell for me. They just, it will all depend how fast they sell, how you price it, the condition that it's in, how many extras it comes with, extra accessories. Those just have the two normal plates you see. So I think between $30 and $35 is going to work. I'm looking at this a second time over. I don't really recognize anything that makes sense. There was a device there, that Power XL grill, that I thought was going to be worth something. It's not. Now, please pay attention to Littlest Pet Shops, especially during this garage sale season. That's what I'm looking for in these bags primarily. And while I didn't find any, I'm going to put comparables on the screen. So if you're just listening, I want you to look at the screen and focus on some of what is selling right now. We're talking $500, $600, $1,000 for single Littlest Pet Shops. I don't know exactly when the market started to really grow and top out for some of these really unique, they shouldn't even be that hard to find. Some of them will be more exclusive than others, but I cannot believe some of the prices that are going. And of course, I had my oldest daughter go look immediately through all of her pet shops because we had 1 million of them to see if we had any of those lurking in the closets. But unbelievable, those prices. So if you are looking at online auctions, or you see even lots on eBay, it might be worth taking a double take and digging in and looking for some of those individual ones that are worth a ton of money. So that's what I was looking for. Didn't find any. Moved over here, and then I found this Proactive for marked $2.99. This moisture repair. You can see the seam hasn't been touched. It is brand new in the box, and it looks like these are going to sell for around $30. I'll probably list it at $30 and then just charge $5 for shipping. I haven't checked to see if that's a Vero item, so you're be on your own on that. But it does look like some sales did come through at $30. So assuming I can list it, that's what it's going to sell for. And for $3, that's a great find in a store like this, where normally I don't have a ton of success. So I'm hoping if I can find 5 items out of each store, come home with 15, I'd be really happy. So so far with the first 2, we're looking pretty good. The rest of this stuff was all, I think, in used condition. And then at the bottom is the second row. There's another proactive item here. I don't remember exactly what that is. Pore targeting treatment. When I scanned that, it looked like they were selling for around $9 or $10. There is a bunch of Rodent and Fields items here, and so those could have been good. Again, don't. If it's a Vero item, then you got to pay attention to that. I don't pick up Mary Kay ever. It's just not. Those just aren't items that I ever deal with. Whether they're expired or not, I don't mess with it. I don't list them. And then the Rodent and Fields, all of this was pre-owned, so I had to leave all of it behind. There's no way any of this could be listed in brand new condition, which I believe is the only way that you can list items like these. So reverse, all sorts of stuff, nice little grab bags of cosmetics and whatnot. So the one proactive item I'm going to keep, but the rest of this I'm really not going to mess with. Mary Kay, there was a big lawsuit a long time ago. I'm not going to get into it. People list it fine and seem to sell it, and then others, they get dinged. You never know what's going to happen with Mary Kay, so I just avoided it at all costs. This item here, although it was a little bit expensive, will definitely still sell for around, I say, $25 at a minimum. The brand is Power Step, and they are insoles for people that like have foot, heel pain. And I've sold these before, so I'm familiar with it. I think I actually have sold it. No, it's not the exact same size. I sold a men's 12 before. But anyway, these are still going to sell for $25, brand new in the box. A little high at $9, but I will take it in this store because I don't, it's like you never know if I'm going to find another item in here, and I'm trying to avoid clothing altogether. I will look at shoes in some of these stores, but I'm really trying to avoid clothing. I would much rather find hard goods. So the rest of this, wind mirror, nothing there. And then the massager, no value on that as well, but I want to pay really close attention to these aisles because this is where stuff gets really missed and skipped over. So I don't see anything else. I really wish that other proactive item would have had some value because I would have bought that entire bag and then just discarded the rest of the items. This is what is the brand called? Ambiano. It is an electric boot cleaner, but those are, I've seen some sell for $9, $10. Can't really work with any of that here. Looking at some of the pots and pans, I don't see any all clad, nothing that looked great with lids. This is all Rachel Ray. It's like you always recognize that blue and that orange, and it's Rachel Ray stuff, but I don't ever pick that up. I don't think it's valuable, and maybe it will have its time at some point, but nothing doing there. Again, very organized, very clean, but very bare in this section. Not a whole lot to look at or work with. So I'm going to move over into some of the plush and then some of the toys. I looked at, a good number of the plush that was sitting here just to go through the motions, but I really didn't recognize anything that I could use. So I didn't pick up any plush and I didn't pick up any toys. As far as the pricing strategy in this store, there's a lot of things that are priced very fairly, and then a lot of things that are probably a little bit too high, at least for resellers. So I didn't really have a problem with that. And in times that I've come in, there have been occasions where I just thought everything was like out of control price-wise. So this was an Our Generation doll marked to look like $4.99. Again, I think that's fair. So no American Girl, not at least that I could recognize. There was like this little Zoomer. I think that's what these were called. No value there, maybe $10, $15. Only marked $1.99. So again, not bad. If you have a good trained eye, eventually you come in here enough, you're going to find a few things. I'm going to grab these Merrells. These are called Avian Light Trail Shoes. I think it was a 7.5 sold for $25. They're marked $4.99, so the price is right, and they are in fantastic condition. These ones are a women's size 9, so I'm definitely going to grab those. The comparables, the amount listed and then the amount that have sold in the last 90 days, I don't know that it's like an amazing ratio, if you can call it a ratio, but those were in way too good a condition for what I'm working with in this store for me to pass up, especially at $4.99. So I'm going to take them, and I'll be happy listing those and selling those also for $25. The Brooks are marked up a little bit, and they have too much, I think, cosmetic wear up. Like if I threw those shoes in the wash, I don't believe a lot of the stains that you may or may not have been able to see on my phone camera would have come out. So I left those behind. And then these glycerins do not have insoles. So very thin on the active wear shoes. And then I didn't really see anything in the women's dress, and this is an area of shoes I don't. This was the ones I grabbed the least, like women's dress shoes, that type of thing. I don't notice anything here, so I'm gonna pass up on the majority of that. I love the Merrells. And then I looked behind the counter just to see if some of the things that they pull that they don't sell online might, work with me. But really, I was like maybe 30, 45 minutes in the store, and it's really time for me to get out and move on to another one. So I'm going to keep the items I have. I'm pretty satisfied. I wanted to have 5 and walk out with 5 items. I found 4. I'm satisfied with that. Now, we're going to head over to what I believe is the worst thrift store in Ohio Thrift. And I walk in and I immediately notice the same thing that I noticed at Volunteers of America. Extremely clean, extremely well organized. But I started to get suspicious really, really quick just by glancing over everything. So I'm going to grab a cart in just a second. Like you can see, they have little color-coded items, a blue area, an orange area, here's a black area. Not anything that I can really work with. And quite honestly, this doesn't even look like stuff that was donated. And I'm pretty sure it isn't. Take a look at these hats. All of this stuff just looks like generic overstock that they've ordered in bulk, like they're ordering in, bulk truckloads. All of this looks like it's just all Target overstock. Hey, listen, if you didn't want to buy it at Target's prices and now it's moved on over to Ohio Thrift, now you can continue to avoid it at Ohio Thrift prices. What this store really is this is just an Ollie's. That's really all this is. And it's a bad Ollie's at that. At least with Ollie's, when they buy overstock or they buy discontinued items, there's really a much better variety. I could hardly find anything that was actually donated to Ohio Thrift. This isn't a thrift store at all. So you could see the balls underneath. Those look like they were donated. This pickleball racket marked $20. No value there. But most of this stuff is just Target overstock or bad overstock or just truckload overstock. Some of the things that you would find in boxes at like the new liquidation stores that have popped up everywhere. This isn't a thrift store. I mean, you can make the case that it is just based on them pricing some of their, let's say, clothing, their T-shirts at $1.99. But I don't see very much, if at all, anything donated to this store. So I'm almost at the point where I'm just videoing this to show you like how clean it is, how nice it is. But this isn't a store that I can shop in, not as a reseller. So even just looking at all of these shoes, very well organized, but I see one pair that looks like it might have been donated, right? Like that used pair looks like it was donated. Everything else looks like it came off of a cargo boat straight from China into this quote unquote thrift store. This is just a bad Ollie's. That's really what we're working with here. So I'm going to make my way out of here, and I completely struck out. It is going to be a long time before I return to Ohio Thrift. So we've got Volunteers of America. I found 4 items. We have Ohio Thrift. I walked out empty-handed, and now we're going to walk into Old Reliable and hope to goodness that I can make up the difference here at Goodwill. So the first thing that I'm going to grab, absolutely reliable item. You guys have seen me source them before, the K45 bowl for the KitchenAid mixers. This is always like $20 to $25. It's only going to cost $4. Walking in and seeing that was a little bit of a relief, even though it's sort of boring, right? But boring sells too, because I need some guarantees. And the KitchenAid mixers sell excellent. The accessories to the KitchenAid mixers sell excellent. That bowl is no exception. I've sold, I think, maybe 2 or 3 of them this year. So glad to see that. And then moved over into the pots and pans. I did find All-Clad, which is great, but I pass up a lot of the non-stick All-Clad for the reasons you just saw. It just looks way too damaged, and I think that happens much too easy for a brand that's good. If you find All-Clad that's all stainless steel, then I think you have something. But as far as the anodized non-stick, it really has to be in perfect condition for me to pick it up. And even then, like, the prices aren't going to be as good as like the all stainless steel versions. So we're putting that thing back, and then I'm going to look at all of these items that look new to me. I haven't seen these before. This Lady Fitness Wii kit thing, probably should have looked it up. Didn't really. I don't know that there's any value. I'm making an assumption. If I miss something, it is what it is. some old bundt cake pans, and then what was this? They're calling this a wellness wrap, but that thing looked like it was pretty beat up, so I'm gonna leave that behind. And a few of these items, like I've come into contact before. This was an interesting little piece. It was from Yugoslavia, I believe. But again, $4. Looks like it's got some wear on both sides. Probably should have a lid. Does not. I'm going to leave it behind. Got lucky with a couple of pairs of shoes. This is a very clean pair of Brooks, and judging on what I see in my basement, I'm not replenishing the brand Brooks enough for me, so these are great. Those soles are in excellent condition. They are a men's size 9.5, and the style is Revel 5. I think these are going to sell for around $45. I may even throw them in the wash to clean them up even further, but they just look great. Insoles look great. $45 I think is the right price, and it's good because my Brooks sell really well and they sell really consistently. I'm just not replenishing them fast enough. So triple black with maybe a little bit of gray, I'm going to grab those. And then the next thing that I'm going to grab here is a pair of Nike Air Jordan 1s. Now they're a men's size 7.5, so they're a little bit smaller. Some of the keywords would be mocha for the color, wild berry. What I think I'm going to do is, you can see there's just a little bit of wear there, and they're slightly on the small side for men. So I'm going to list these like on the lower end. You can see one of the laces, it has a little bit of an issue. So I'm going to list them, I think, probably at $30. That's where I think I can move them a little bit quicker than I would. They sell new, like plenty of new solds that I saw, sold comparables around $100 plus. I want to avoid that. I want to avoid them having to go through authentication. I want them to get to the customer quicker. I have no doubt that they are authentic, but with the wear and with the size, I don't mind being on the low end price wise. So let's call it $30, and they will cost me $6. So we're going to finish with a Nike item. This Nike driver. This is a Nike SQ Dymo. It's not a Dymo 2 driver, and if you look at it, outside of a little bit of dust, it's in excellent condition. Club head looks good, graphite shaft looks good, the grip is excellent. So for a club like this, I'm going to list this for $50. One thing I have noticed, my Nike clubs, not necessarily the irons, but the drivers tend to sit a little bit, and I don't know if that's because my pricing is too high, or it's because maybe I have errors in my listings. I've gone through some of them, and I still think I have one left that has been sitting. So in an instance where I feel like we're going to get out of golf club fever season, which is like basically right now for the next probably 6 weeks, people will be buying these, and it's an evergreen niche. It sells year round. But where you're going to sell it the most, at least on my end, it's going to be kind of right now, the next 4 to 6 weeks. I will adjust the price on that and bring it down a little bit because I do want to move it. I don't want any of my Nike clubs to sit for another season. So I want them all to sell this season. So I'll be a little bit aggressive on the price just from my what is not a ton of experience selling them in previous seasons, but they are not being made anymore. So they're still a little bit exclusive. So if you can get somebody that really is dead set on all things Nike clubs, that's going to be a great club for them at $50. So the rest of the sporting goods, I'm not noticing anything here, although a lot of these clubs are new. So like I thought that putter would be good. I'm going to leave that behind. And you know what? I think we did pretty good at the last stop. So not bad altogether.
Though I would say I had moderate success at 2 out of the 3. I did okay at Volunteers of America. I did terrible at Ohio Thrift. And I did okay with some bread and butter at Goodwill. So I'm a go on the first and the last, but if you are a reseller especially, I would probably avoid Ohio Thrift. They are not, that doesn't look or sound or act like a thrift store at all, just based on what I saw and what you folks saw too. Otherwise, the other ones are good and the trip was pretty average, but I will take it. So thanks again, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.